It's very deceptive. Why in these three examples are they misleading the actual state of the watch market? I think it could be one of two things, right? Could be either ignorance or it could be purposefully deceptive. What's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for clicking. Today I want to talk about a number of topics, including why the secondary market is so secretive about watch prices dropping. I also want to talk about the continuing effects of the pandemic and what that means for you if you're in the market to buy a watch. Basically, these topics came from the comment section of my last video. So if you haven't seen it, I'll put a link in the description down below. I read through all the comments. Guys, thank you so much for leaving a comment. I appreciate the feedback. And what I did is I categorized the different topics. For the sake of time, I won't talk about the topics now. I'll just put them on the side. And as I go through it, I'll check them off. For this video, I did a lot of research online. I also reached out to a person that commented on my video who's got an amazing collection of watches. He lived through the effects of 2008. So hopefully I can give you some insight as to what happened back then and maybe compare that to what I think was going to happen now. And then finally, probably the last minute of the video, I want to give a special thank you to all my new viewers. So I put something special at the end. I hope you stick around to check it out. So first and foremost, one of the main topics that came up is why dealers are downplaying our current situation. If you haven't seen it, here's some examples. Here's a jeweler out of the UK. They have a YouTube channel and they make some nice videos on watches. Here's his take on pricing during the coronavirus.
Prices have been affected by coronavirus. Prices now versus before have not changed that much. I think people were kind of hoping that the prices would really drop on watches.
Look, I'm not in the UK, but my opinion is that that's not accurate. Here's another video. I'm not going to play the video on this one. It's from a channel that I really like, actually. Roman Sharp, real knowledgeable guy. I won't get into the video. I'll just go into the comments. Strongly disagree with you guys. You guys remind me of the scene in the movie Titanic where the band keeps playing to try to keep the passengers calm. Titanic represents the watch market and you guys are sounding like the band right now. 1655. Roman actually says this is not a global recession. I'll talk a little bit more about that later in my video. And then one more comment down here. This isn't a global recession or a housing market crash. You're right, it's neither one of those. It's far worse. So that's just three quick examples on this video. And then this last one here, I just want to show you what's going on here with Chrono 24. I ran across a recent ad for a Pepsi and it was showing 17.8. Again, this is recent and I'm thinking to myself, this is a little high. I dived down into the comments and somebody's asking if this valuation is based on list price or actual selling price. Their response, our watch collection takes both prices into account. Think about that for just a second. If I go out and I list my house for $2 million, how much does that change the market value of it? Can I start showing that houses are trending up in price now just because I listed it for a ridiculous amount? It's very deceptive. So why are they doing this? Why in these three examples are they misleading the actual state of the watch market? I think it could be one of two things, right? Could be either ignorance, and I don't mean that with a negative connotation, I just mean that they really don't know, or it could be purposefully deceptive. Now, I don't know about the first two examples of the YouTube videos, but in my opinion, the Chrono 24 valuation is purposely deceptive. Obviously, listing price is no indication of true market value. There was even a video where I saw someone said that what we're going through now is less economically significant than what we went through in 2008. Now, I don't know what metrics they're looking at, but we just had close to 30 million people get laid off in the matter of a few weeks. So let's go ahead and segue into my next topic, looking at the economy. And then we'll talk about how that translates into the watch market. So full disclaimer, I don't have all the answers here. If I did, I wouldn't be making YouTube videos. Hopefully this just brings up some points that maybe you didn't consider to ultimately help you make a decision on whether or not you want to pull the trigger on buying a watch right now. So with that, let's get started. 2008 versus 2020. The Great Recession was in 2008, lasted for 18 months. We saw a GDP decline of -5% and unemployment reached a peak of 10%. Based on my conversation that I had with my viewer, this situation slowed the watch market dramatically. He himself was not a reseller, but he ran in a circle with some guys that did, and they got left with a lot of inventory. After I found these numbers, I wanted to find something that was a better indication of how the economy is doing other than GDP and unemployment. So I found this page that gives 5 more real-world examples of what to look for. The first one being, are good jobs available? Right now, as of the 4th week of April, we're at a very high unemployment rate compared to 10% in 2008. The second indication is well-being. 3 factors to consider here: health, housing, and social connections. Housing's not affected this time, but obviously health and social connections are. The third one is environment. Environment from the perspective of global safety. I'll leave this one as a question mark as to how to compare 2008 to now, so we'll leave that as constant. Fourth indicator is fairness. What they're talking about here is pay inequality. Again, a question mark, so we'll leave this one as constant. And then the last one is health. Health in the sense of physical health and well-being. I think this one, if there was a scale for it, is as low as you can get. So this all seems pretty bad, right? Let's look at another article. This one is from Forbes. I'll leave a link in the description below. It first talks about a normal recession and how typically that's defined as 2 quarters of GDP contraction. This one's different. In a matter of a few weeks, it hit, companies shut down, people are staying home, and as of today, unemployment is nearing 30 million people. The sheer speed and magnitude is unprecedented. There's some other good points in that article, including the price of oil and how that affects the global economy. But for the purposes of this video, I'll just say that because this is a new type of recession that started quicker, it can also end quicker. There's obviously going to be a ripple effect with everything else that's affected in the economy. But I think once there's a vaccine or mass testing, we could possibly see a quick recovery. Quick being relative versus the 2008 recovery. Okay, so enough with the history lesson. You guys came to see if it was a good time to buy a watch. Let me first address some of the comments from the previous video and then we'll dive right down into it. So here we go with the comments. You can't eat a Rolex. I get it. If you don't have a pile of money sitting around that doesn't matter, you should absolutely spend your money on necessities. I would never buy a Rolex. I would buy a Casio or a Seiko. Great watches. Rolexes aren't handmade. I agree. When you mass produce watches and you make 1 or 2 million a year, you can't hand make all of them. Maybe hand finish, but one of those secrets that we'll never know the answer to. A Batman at 11.9 is not a bargain. There are better watches out there. I agree with that. In my last video, I said that these are mass produced and they are aspirational pieces. They're not for everybody. They're just good at marketing. For me, I wanted to check it off the list. It was an aspirational piece. My next watch probably won't be a Rolex. It'll be something a little bit less produced. Rolex is overhyped. Rolex is overpriced. Guys, isn't that why we buy them? I mean, honestly, why aren't we making a video about Hublots or Omegas? There's no hype. The secondary market is less than the primary market. There's nothing wrong with those watches. If you like them, buy them. But I think whether or not we want to admit it, part of the reason why we like these things is because they're hard to get, is because they hold their value. You guys might not like my opinion on this, but I think the secondary market is a necessary evil. I know for me, before I dropped my money on a Sky Dweller, it was always in the back of my mind that if I ever needed to liquidate it, I would get 80% of my money back, at least. Not the case with some other brands. So that's why I say it's kind of a necessary evil to bring the secondary values up. And then the final comments, some of the best ones revolved around buy what you like. If you buy what you like and you're not using it for an investment and you're gonna keep it on your wrist, you're never gonna lose money if you don't sell it. And if what you like is a Seiko or an Omega, more power to you. But if what you like is something that fluctuates with the market a little bit, consider checking out this website. Again, this is something that a viewer commented on and gave to me, so I appreciate that. So here's the website. I'll leave the link in the description below. Basically, if you just type in the watch that you're looking for and click on it here, basically you've got a chart of both sold and unsold watch prices. The sources are Reddit, WatchSeek, eBay, and Rolex forums. As you can tell, there's a little bit of deviation from the trend line. If you're going to use this website, what I might encourage you to do is click on the individual red sales dots and see where they came from. So again, good to give you a general idea, but always good to double check within the individual sold dots. Let's go to another one. Let's go to the Pepsi. We'll click on the Pepsi here. The first thing you see is it's down 10%. This one is a lot clearer. Not a whole lot of deviation, all along the same trend line, and you can see that it's sloping down. So as of April, we can go into the individual dots and see that these have sold in the 14.5 to 15 range. So I would say that if you're using this as a tool, you should go in within these dots and see where these sold. And I believe this is a good indication of where the market's going for this particular watch. So I hope you found that website helpful. Guys, I'm going to try to wrap up this video. I wish I had more answers for you, but the goal of this video really was to just point out all of the different factors for you to make your own decision. With that said, I want to emphasize 3 points. If you're in the market to buy a watch and that watch tends to trend up and down, I would suggest you use a website that I just showed you. Take into consideration though that the buyers from those websites aren't always end users. If a deal is good enough and a gray market dealer can buy from another dealer and sell at a profit, that's what's going to happen. That's why, in my opinion, depending on the type of watch it is, I don't think it's ever going to get towards retail, but we'll see about that. Just my opinion. And then the last thing to consider, again, we're not in a normal recession. We were quick to get into it. It didn't take 2 quarters. It took a number of weeks. Some experts say that this might be a situation that we get out of quickly also. So if you're waiting for the bottom to drop and you miss it by a few weeks, you might miss your opportunity. With all of that said, I go back to the best comments from my original video. Buy what you like, don't buy it for investment. If you never sell it, you're not going to take a loss anyways. In the long run, everybody likes a deal, but for a matter of a couple $1,000s, it really doesn't matter if it's something that you love. Guys, thanks so much for watching. If you liked the video, please help me out. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. That's the end of the video, but as I promised initially, I want to give you a special thank you for all the new viewers and all the new subscribers from my last video. Here we go. So again, a special thank you to all my new viewers. Just so you have an idea, I kind of started my YouTube channel a few months ago. Just really did it for fun. As you can see here, mostly less than 100 views, 40, 50, 100 views. This one blew up after the Rolex video also. And then all of a sudden, 87,000. So thank you so much. I graduated from Georgia Tech, and back when my video had around 55,000 views, I wanted to put that in perspective. 55,000 is the number of people that fits in Bobby Dodd Stadium in Atlanta. What a cool thought to put that in perspective. And then the coolest thing was to see the subscriber count growing. As you could tell, I was pretty excited to reach 1,000. But those are just numbers. What I really appreciate is that it really impacted some people, so much so that they took the time to comment and thank me. What a truly humbling experience. And for a couple of guys to go out and buy watches because they saw my content, that's a pretty cool feeling too. Special thank you to my viewer and commenter Eric, who was very generous with his time. Spent over an hour on the phone with him, got some great information for this video. And finally, a big thank you to my buddy Mark. Mark is also a YouTuber. Somehow we started supporting each other's channels. I would comment and like his new videos. He'd always be the first one to comment on my videos. And it just really helps me stay motivated. Mark, thank you, brother. Can't wait for this thing to be over and invite you to Miami for a drink. Guys, do me a favor. I'll put a link in the description down below. Check out his channel. He's got a lot of good stuff on credit cards. Great information and stuff I've used personally. With that, I'll end again by saying thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video.